Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, joined here by my side, as always, the one Mr. Brian E. Roach. Brian, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing great. In fact, this is an epic moment in history. This is a day that will live in infamy. And the reason for that is I am actually prepared for this conversation. I don't even know what got into me. I'm prepared. I have statistics, things I don't actually care about. I'm ready to go, man.
Brian is so ready to go. Look at that. He's he's off-centered. You're usually off-centered anyways, my friend. I just thought that was I thought it was funny because I didn't show you yet that you weren't like on screen there. He's adjusting now. Get it in there. Awesome. I'm kind of getting tired of hearing the Pittsburgh Steelers don't know what they're doing with the quarterback position, right? There's memes that are out there. There's people who say that's a laughing stock. Could they have made some different decisions? Regardless of an Aaron Rodgers decision, whether he would join the team or not, the Steelers are probably in the same position that they would be this year, next year, somewhere in the near future, because Aaron Rodgers isn't a long-term solution now. I saw one of the worst takes of the week last week, and this one will get you, Brian. It was somebody that said cheap and upgrade. And Rodgers' name was put in that along with Justin Fields, along with Sam Darnold, and Geno Smith. And to the life of me, I mean, Fields maybe a little cheaper, $20 million on average for a quarterback, not too shabby. But everybody else is in the 30-plus stratosphere. Sam Darnold, 3 for $100 million. Whatever Geno Smith's getting an extension with the Raiders. Geno Smith and Sam Darnold don't come off to me as upgrades. Aaron Rodgers, 41 going on 42. Maybe his best days are beyond him. Maybe you give a little bit of better. You might be able to give a benefit of the doubt, but he's got to do something, as we said on the last show, that nobody else has done. Tom Brady did it. Maybe Warren Moon or Brett Favre, and that's actually have a good season when you're 41 or older. Tom Brady obviously won a Super Bowl. And then who's the other guy? Justin Fields, who's a complete unproven and sure as hell didn't look like an upgrade, throwing for 150 yards a game, 50 yards rushing here or there. Yeah, 10 total touchdowns, 5 with his feet, 5 in the air. That's not even 2 per game. He started 6 games. How's that an upgrade? Like, I'm just looking at this like, everybody's laughing at the Steelers, but I'd say the Steelers are laughing because the Steelers are looking at other teams around the NFL. We're going to look at a little bit of a historical draft kind of perspective because we don't fully believe here that while you do have to find your future quarterback in the draft, they're not going to be a free agent. Maybe you trade, but then that might not work either. It's really a crapshoot. It's a big gamble. There's a lot of risk. This is the quarterback lottery, and the Steelers, they're going to have to play it, and they're going to have to play until they win.
Yes. I hate banging the same drum over and over again. And I feel like I have no choice, right? Because nobody listens, so I need to bang the drum louder. It really doesn't matter where you pick your quarterback. It does to a little, and I'll get into that at some point during this conversation. But it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot with any player. But you know, I did some in-depth analysis determining where are the best success rates for drafting quarterbacks or any other position. So I'm ready to go. I've got my facts backing this up. And here's what it says more than anything else. It doesn't matter where you draft a quarterback. You got a better than, unless they're in the top 10 picks. Unless you're drafting a quarterback in the top 10 picks, you got a better than 50% chance that they're going to be a bust.
Yeah, we're going to look at that. I'm saying there's probably people already giggling. They probably don't know us well. If you're new here, welcome. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. At least subscribe. Yeah, hello. Usually we say our 2%ers listen to the end of the show. We know that some of you can skip around. We've got some good content today. Before I dive into the draft, let's talk about the ways that you could acquire a quarterback. Let's talk about the ways the Steelers have already done it. You can go and try and get somebody in the middle rounds and develop them and hope that they stick around long enough to outlast or supersede the guy that's already there, which would have been Ben Roethlisberger. Those picks that were already made would have been Mason Rudolph and Josh Dobbs the year or so before him. And I mean, Landry Jones to a lesser extent, I think he was just there to maybe be a quality backup. I don't really know. That was always like a head scratcher for me. And they traded in order to get Landry Jones, and also with Mason Rudolph to move up. They maneuvered in the draft for quarterbacks, but none of these guys were really looked at to be the future. So it's like, why didn't they plan in advance? And it's like the succession rate isn't very good either. The Brock Osweiler behind the Peyton Manning in Denver. Or, I mean, the only people who've done it's the Packers. We don't know if Jordan Love's the guy yet. But you could go and you could trade for a quarterback. Usually players don't become available in a trade unless something's wrong. Deshaun Watson. Lots of accusations, lawsuits, legal stuff, trouble off the field. And we'll come back to him in a second. But Russell Wilson to Denver, another example. We saw Jared Goff and Matt Stafford get swapped. That's one where it worked out for both teams, but it usually does not. That does not happen to be the case. Or you have somebody that ends up being a free agent somewhere. I mean, Kirk Cousins just went to the Falcons last year, and he's now due to be the highest paid backup quarterback. 4 years, $180 million. His first 2 years, pretty much fully guaranteed, $100 million in guarantees. He had a $50 million signing bonus, all for them to try and figure it out. And that's not a team that made the playoffs, right? You have teams that move up in the draft. Panthers moving up for Bryce Young. It's a team that already had a lot of problems. They were already what we would call a poverty franchise. Not well run, not a lot of talent. So what do? They give up DJ Moore. They trade 2 firsts and then 2 seconds in order to get the Bears first. And Bryce Young got benched last year for Andy Dalton, right? Jets tried it for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers took a little bit of a pay cut, but they gave up a first-round pick. They had a lot of talent around him. Didn't work. Deshaun Watson with the Browns, the more famous one, obviously, with his off-field problems. The Browns gave up 3 first-round picks. They gave up a third and fourth in multiple years. So there were 3 more picks there, and I think an extra pick swap. And ripped up his contract
Best
for 5
trade
years.
of all time.
$230
There's
million.
never been a better trade.
230.
Greatest trade ever happened.
230 million guaranteed. That screwed up the quarterback market for years to come. At the time, landmark deal, all guaranteed money. And Russell Wilson right behind that, falling out of favor with the Seahawks, going to the Broncos. The Broncos gave up 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a 5th, Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, and Noah Fant. So 3 guys that were starters with the team. Various degrees of success. And then they ripped up that contract, made it 5 years, $245 million, which allowed the Steelers to sign Russell Wilson last year for about $1 million and change. Steelers had nothing invested into kicking the tires on Russell Wilson. The Steelers gave up a conditional 6th, could have been as high as a 4th for Justin Fields. Might be another reason why Fields didn't play as much, but they probably weren't planning on playing him in the first place. He was brought in to be a backup. You sign Russell Wilson, you're not signing Russell Wilson to be your backup at that time. The competition that wasn't, because Wilson was hurt for all of camp, so Fields got to play all that time. They got to kick the tires, decided he wasn't the guy, didn't bring him back. Maybe they had an offer, maybe they didn't. Kenny Pickett, where was he? 20th overall, 22nd overall, somewhere in the same range they got this year.
20, I think.
Yeah. We'll see it when we go through the list, but in the same range they are this year. They gave up no extra picks to get in that spot and used their pick to get Kenny Pickett. People will say, well, they burned a first-round pick. Maybe they could have got him in the second. Maybe they could have got him in the third. Maybe, horseshoes and hand grenades, the only thing that close counts at. And Mitchell Trubisky, I think something like $12 million with incentives when they signed him 2 years, $12 million. Missing someone. Mason, we already talked about, but he was still on the roster. They extended him $3 or $4 million. They are not giving out 5 years, 4 years, nearly $200 million for any of these guys to kick the tires and see if they're the starters. What I am saying the Steelers shouldn't be the laughing stock is, well, it might be comical that they go through all of these paces. There's former Super Bowl winning quarterbacks in that equation. There's guys that have won playoff games. There are guys that were former first round picks, and there's guys that you tried to develop in-house, and none of them have seemingly stood out to be the man, to be the long-term franchise quarterback. But at the same time, they didn't give up starting players, first-round picks, oodles of money where you can't sign other people, you can't draft cheaper alternatives, and the rest of your roster suffers. No, they have won games with these quarterbacks, and they have made it to the playoffs. I know that they haven't won a playoff game in a month of Sundays. That's disheartening. Obviously, you want to see Mike Tomlin break that streak. I know that people say that winning seasons are mediocre or whatever, but you look at all the teams that I named, and wouldn't they kill just to have a 10-win season and a playoff appearance? That would mean that they're at least building and heading towards something brighter. It's a failure only by the standard of Steelers fans, because every year has to be a Super Bowl. It's been about 15 years now, folks. So now they have to find the next guy after Ben Roethlisberger. And I think our show is going to deep dive a little bit, Brian, as you were saying, that in order to do that, you have to go into the draft and maybe make a little bit of a risk on an unknown, because otherwise you're giving up too much, or in either salary or draft picks, and handicapping the future of your team that isn't going to be successful. Even if you do find the quarterback, then you got problems elsewhere. Look at the Cincinnati Bengals and their defense, for example, right? So, I don't know where you go with this in the draft, and it's more like a Powerball ticket, but I think we agree on one thing. For the way the quarterback position is valued, can the Steelers wait beyond the first round or outside of the top 50 picks even? I'll give you into the second round to find that future quarterback. And I'm going to say probably not. Very few guys outside of the top 50 end up being reliable NFL starters.
I'm going to give you some more data. Like I told you, I'm prepared. I'm going to give you some more data on this. Okay, are you ready for this? This will knock your socks off, I think, to a certain degree. Of quarterbacks drafted in the first round, forget anywhere, wherever in the first round. And what I'm using as an evaluation for success here is they made a Pro Bowl. That's how low my bar of success is.
Oh, man.
They made a Pro Bowl.
Drake May is
right?
Russell Wilson was a Pro Bowler last year.
All right. Here's the thing. If you use something that's much more success-oriented, like won a Super Bowl or made it to a Super Bowl, guess what? Since 2011, you got one guy drafted in the first round who has led his team to a Super Bowl victory. Can you guess who it was? Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I was going to say, because Stafford was before that. There's guys who've gotten there, but they haven't won. Okay, so you got about 44% of first-round drafted quarterbacks are successful. 44%. You go to rounds 2 to 7, that number drops to 12.1%. Successful. That's the difference. Now, top 10, you got the best chance. 60-something percent. 64%, I think. Anything after that, and you're at 46%. Where are you going to find a quarterback and give yourself the best opportunity? And I've been banging this wagon for a long time now, probably since before Ben was drafted. But you are going to find a franchise quarterback and give yourself the best chance of finding that guy in the first 10 picks. If you're going to do that, one of two things has to happen. You have to suck bad, or you have to give away so much draft capital that you're hamstringing yourself anyway. Yeah, and we can look at even the first pick overall hasn't been the most successful. I was debating on how, I'm not going to go through every draft, but I'm going to go through at least, this century, since 2000 or even 99, Tim Couch to the Cleveland Browns. 1999. Woo-hoo! Then they had Courtney Brown the following year because they had back-to-back.
Well, you need to take the Browns drafting quarterbacks out of the equation. They've just not done well.
They're actually they're a prime example, but it's also an example of, just the Watson thing, and who knows what they do this year. Will they look for Shedeur Sanders? A lot of people are saying Abdul Carter is going to be the guy, and they're going to go defense.
Should be. I'll be honest. That's who they should pick. They should pick Abdul Carter, or they should pick the cornerback from Colorado.
Yeah,
That's who they should pick.
I am not going to disagree with you. So I should say that 98 was Peyton Manning. I mean, we're going way back. Then it was Tim Couch. These are top overall pick. That was a quarterback, right? Michael Vick, 2001. David Carr to the expansion Houston Texans. Carson Palmer, Eli Manning, Alex Smith, Jamarcus Russell, Matt Stafford, Sam Bradford, Cam Newton did play in a Super Bowl. Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck. Now, for them to get Andrew Luck, the Colts had a full year without Peyton Manning, where they were playing Christian Ponder or somebody, and not a good sight for them. But they had to stink, right? Jameis Winston to the Buccaneers, 2015. Jared Goff the following year to the Rams. Then you have the Browns take Myles Garrett, and they have back-to-back number 1 overall picks again. They end up taking Baker Mayfield in 2018. That's an interesting draft we'll look at. Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, and then some still to be determined stories on Bryce Young and Caleb Williams in each of the last 2 drafts. Now, I don't want to go back that far. Go back a little, maybe. Let's go to the Winston. Well, I got the 2013 draft actually picked already, and that was a year where EJ Manuel is the only guy who goes in the first round, 16th overall. Geno Smith, 39th. That's it for your top 50s. Out of that, Mike Glennon, Matt Barkley, Ryan Nassib, Tyler Wilson, Landry Jones, and then we don't even want to name the other guys, right? So it'll take me a second to set these up as I go through each of them, but you kind of get the idea already. This was the following year. The top quarterback taken was Blake Bortles. He was the 3rd overall pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And let's see who was taken after. Absolutely hate ads on these pages. Let's see, Blake Bortles, and then Johnny Manziel. How did I forget good old Johnny Manziel, 22nd to the Cleveland Browns. The Vikings trade. yeah. He made some money. Teddy Bridgewater. Vikings went back into the first round. Getting the quarterback in the first round. So there's a few things. There's the valuation of the teams. Who all are they competing with that they have to leap over in order to take these quarterbacks? And that's how some of them, that's how you end up getting 3 to 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Plus, the way the quarterback contracts are these years, we're talking about $50 million for guys. That 5th-year option ends up being a bargain discount if you can. Even if you give them that money and then extend them out and do whatever, you can massage your cap a little bit more. But after that, Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo's outside of the top 50. Mid, what's Garoppolo done, right?
Let's just stop there for a second.
Yeah.
When you talk about second round drafted quarterbacks are very rare. All right. There aren't a ton of them. Like, you get out of the first round, second round, you don't draft that many, and then all of a sudden it's 3rd round and lower. Okay. Yes. But of the second round quarterbacks, the only ones that maybe you could consider successful, Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo. How successful are they?
And that's back in 2014, man. That's over 10 years ago now. Logan Thomas, Tom Savage, Aaron Murray, AJ McCarron, Zach Mettenberger, etc. So now we move along. And let's see, we're going to go to the 2015 NFL draft, of which Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota were the number 1 and number 2 overall picks. We know how that worked out,
and
too.
Just look at that draft. There's your 2 guys. 2 guys touted. These are going to be marquee guys. These are going to be franchise quarterbacks. These guys are going to take their teams nowhere. That's where they took their teams. Nowhere. Neither one of them won jack. I'm sorry.
And that draft after that wasn't very great either. Garrett Grayson, Sean Mannion, Bryce Petty. I mean, there was nobody taken in the second round.
There you go. There's 3 names that you remember completely, right?
Grayson, 75 overall. Trevor Simeon's in this list. He was almost Mr. Irrelevant, 250 overall, 7th round.
There's a name at least I remember.
He made a Pro Bowl. All right, 26.
Part of the 12.1%. Part of the 12.1.
The 2016 draft, 2 guys with top overall once again. Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, and then it went like Joey Bosa, Ezekiel Elliott, Jalen.
Boy, does that Carson Wentz pick look good now, right? Yeah. In hindsight, woohoo! What a pick.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough for Philadelphia. They had to do something. And it's weird how it worked out since he got hurt. He was having like an MVP season.
He was having a great year, and he never was the same again. Maybe
never the same.
Maybe he'd have been the guy if he doesn't get hurt. You never know.
And Nick Foles goes to Disneyland or whatever, gets the car, at the Super Bowl, and never to be heard of again either. It's a really weird draft because there's another first-round pick, 26th overall, to the Denver Broncos, who were still – they were doing everything, man. I mean, the Broncos, they signed Joe Flacco at one point. They had Case Keenum. Simeon, the 7th-rounder, even played some. They take Paxton Lynch here. They'll end up taking Drew Lock a little later, and then Bo Nix. They had Brock Osweiler was a 2nd-round pick, but he was well before all of this, too. And I remember it was him or Von Miller for the franchise tag, and they took Von Miller instead of Osweiler, and then Osweiler ended up, leaving town and got a ludicrous contract with the Houston Texans, like 4 years, $80 million at the time or whatever it was, which we would probably still sneeze at to this day. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's off the top of my head. I don't remember it. But if you remember, just outside of the top 50, pick 51, New York Jets take Christian Hackenberg and out of Penn State. Jacoby Brissett right after that. Cody Kessler to the Browns, 3rd round, pick 93. Connor Cook, Dak Prescott slides all the way down. He's an exception to the rule that people love to bring up. And there was a lot of, I think character issues or off field. There was something dramatic that ended up being completely false, wrong. He shouldn't have slid that far, but he did. Dallas, being the team that they are, took a chance, and he's the highest paid, or one of the highest paid quarterbacks right now.
Don't care. Don't care. What's he won? What has he won?
One playoff
for
game.
The investment that you've put in that guy. Is he a success? All right. And remember, I'm talking directly to the Steelers fans who are whining about mediocrity. All right. Whining about the Tomlin win streak. Whining about one and done in playoff games. Would you rather have had Dak Prescott and spent that kind of money for Dak Prescott over the period of years? I'm just saying. Right? It's not unique to us. This is a struggle we will go through until we find the next franchise quarterback. And there's a good chance that whoever the next guy is ain't going to win us a Super Bowl either. We'll see.
Yeah, Super Bowls are rare, and you need other luck, not only at the quarterback position, but you get
absolutely.
Okay, you jump to 2017. And I actually didn't realize that Mahomes was 10th overall, but he wasn't the first quarterback taken in this draft.
He was not.
Mitchell Trubisky was 2nd overall to the Bears. Yes. Mahomes goes 10th to Kansas City. Watson 12th to the Texans. Looked like a good pick at the time. Actually, he balled when he was there. You're talking about this guy, like, he's taken off and his career's limitless. He's got a rocket pack until all the, went down. After that, Deshaun Kaiser, Davis Webb, 2nd round of the Browns, Kaiser 52 overall. Davis Webb, it's a 3rd rounder, and then you're out of the top 100 where it's CJ Beathard, Josh Dobbs, Nate Peterman, Brad Kaya, Chad Kelly. And you're out, and then you're out of it. That's it for the 2017 draft.
I want to say something about Deshaun, because I'm going to say this, and I'm likely to say it about a few other guys too. I think we get caught up in the excitement that they bring, right? Deshaun Watson was an exciting player to watch. He was captivating to watch. He didn't win consistently. He failed enough, right? So, if you're looking for, if that's what you want, hey, great. I just want to be excited. I want to have fun watching the game. I don't care if we win all the prizes or whatnot. I just want to have fun. And the problem with it, those guys tend to get hurt. Those guys tend to burn out. Michael Vick was one of those guys. He was dynamic. He was amazing. He was fun to watch. Didn't win crap.
Yeah, the whole Watson one is, it's interesting because Watson is putting up some I hate saying Pro Bowl numbers. When I say Pro Bowl, I mean like Pro Bowl without the fan vote, without the other
all pro, all pro level numbers.
Yeah, and I mean all pro, including second team, right?
Yes,
he was in the MVP conversation, so he was there until he wasn't, and kind of looked at yourself with the Browns like, can a guy that was out of football this long without an injury just come back in and do whatever? And apparently the answer is no. And it baffles a lot of people, but all that guaranteed money wasn't a whole lot of incentive. If he had to actually work for that money, maybe it would have worked.
Been different.
May have been different. I don't know. 2018, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, 1-3 overall there. Then it's Josh Allen. who's the only guy here of these three named so far, it's still with their original team. A lot of the guys I've mentioned aren't with the same team, and even second or third teams it took in order to find some success. Now, do I think Darnold?
I thought about that as a measure of success. Who gets a second contract, right? Who gets a second contract with the team? Numbers just drop very low.
Well, in a second contract for a quarterback that's taken in the first round, especially in the top 5 picks, some other team's going to look and say, I think this was Bill Polian on the Sirius XM.
It's second contract with their original team.
Yeah,
right. That's
exactly.
the denotation of success. Not that you got a second contract with your original team. Okay.
I think Polian was the one that was saying, or they quoted Polian as saying, it might have been one of the other hosts that said they were talking to him. They're like, why wouldn't you? Oh, I know who it was. It might have been Todd Haley. And I think he was talking about Bill Parcells, actually. Because I think Haley was a scout with the Jets when Parcells was over there. And he was talking about, you will kick the tires. Like, what made this guy a top overall pick? What made this guy a top 10 or top 5 pick? Did the other team, was the coaching bad? Was the scouting bad? Did they get it that wrong? And in this draft, Josh Rosen goes after Josh Allen. He's the 4th quarterback taken. He's 10th overall to the Cardinals and has been through 7 teams, mostly on practice squads. Teams will still keep giving him a contract, but he's done. I mean, they tossed him immediately the following year when they had a shot at Kyler Murray. Of course, Lamar Jackson is in this conversation. The Ravens jumped back in order to take him in the first round, and then you've got the Steelers' current quarterback, Mason Rudolph, and he's picked 76 overall in the 3rd round. He is followed up by Kyle Lauletta, Mike White, Luke Falk, Tanner Lee, Danny Etling, and Alex McGough. Oh, and Logan Woodside's in there too. Logan Woodside was the very last quarterback taken. Cincinnati Bengals in the 7th round. 3 guys in the 7th round. None of these guys really high. Mason 3rd, Lauletta 4th, and then everybody else after that. I don't want to waste my breath too much on some of them. You get the point there, but I'm still going to do this because this is a very painful exercise, and you're risking. What risk do you have for a quarterback picking at what level? And obviously, the higher the pick, the more the risk. But there's also the risk you don't get this guy unless you use that higher pick, and you still don't know how it's going to turn out.
Absolutely. Look, I'm going to just go over this real quick, right? So I'll ask you a couple questions. Come back on camera. Don't leave me on here by myself.
Come
back on the camera.
I'm going to hide.
Well, don't hide, because I'm going to ask you questions. So you have to be there so you can answer. If you had to guess what position is the most successful when drafted in the 1st round, what position would you guess?
It's not going to be, give me a second on. I'm going to say a pass rusher.
Tight end.
Tight end. There's not many
tight ends. And this is best based on getting a second contract with the team that they started with. Okay. So tight ends, 73.3% of tight ends drafted in the 1st round get a second contract with their team.
Wow.
Next, 70% of interior offensive linemen. Now, that doesn't surprise me, right? Offensive linemen drafted in the 1st round almost universally succeed. Not almost. I'm elaborating a little bit there. 70% though. 70%.
And these are positions that usually don't go in the 1st round. Maybe that's why the success rate is so scattered, because
it's high.
You could find these guys later, like Zach Frazier going in the 2nd.
Safeties, 71%. Offensive tackle, 73. Defensive interior alignment, 68.2. All right, now I'm going to get to the next one. What do you think is next?
For what? Success rate?
Success rate.
Or failure rate. After all of that, I could see, okay, you got me on the spot. I'm going to have to, it's got to be defensive linemen.
Running backs.
That's
first round
that's
running
actually
backs.
Shocking. And but your criteria is the extra contract, right?
It's the extra contract.
Then
it's linebackers, then it's cornerbacks, then it's edge rushers. Guess what position outside of quarterback has the worst, because there's only one left. Wide receivers. Only 27% of wide receivers.
Where's the corners at on this? They fell quite a bit too, do they not?
Corners, 50%.
Okay, coin flip.
Wide receivers, 27% of wide receivers drafted in the 1st round get a second contract with their original drafted team.
Wow, that is something, man. Brian there with you know what, Brian? I want you
I
to throw
told you, I
There
was
it is.
on this shit this time.
the math.
Come at me. Come at me.
Don't tease me, bro. Anyway, 2018. We're gonna still. This is still. There's more pain, folks. We have not gone through all the pain. We haven't done this for a long time. We went through these lists a few years ago when it was like, find Ben's replacement. And we're like, no, screw that. You need to not a wide receiver and not whatever other positions you said. Use this on something else to put somebody good next to Ben instead of on the sideline, maybe with an earpiece and hold it. They don't even have a helmet for that day. Why would you put that? So this is the reason why. That's the reason why. But Kyler Murray, first overall, 2018. Daniel Jones, 6th overall, surprising to the Giants. Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, 15th overall, and now you're out of the first round. Haskins, of course, going to whatever Washington was named at the time. Drew Lock is in the top 50. He was 42nd to the Denver Broncos, who were still doing their search. Will Greer, 3rd round, 100. Pick 100 on the money for the Panthers. And then 4th round and below, Ryan Finley, Jarrett Stidham, Easton Stick, Gardner Minshew's in here. Trace McSorley's in here.
Wait a minute. Go back a second. Easton Stick. That's a guy whose parents played a lot of baseball, and they just were like, what are names for bats? Easton? Our last name is Stick. That's a bat, right? A bat is that's just a terrible name.
He got the Carson Wentz rub from North Dakota State, too, a little bit. And I think Trey Lance ends up with this a little bit later. When's Trey coming out here? We're close because Joe Burrow comes out as the top overall pick in 2020. And it's surefire. Yeah. You see what he did. He had a ridiculous team around him with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and everything. So that wasn't surprising. It would have been more surprising if he wasn't any good, which we've seen happen. 5th overall, Tua Tagovailoa. Justin Herbert, 6th overall. And closing out the first round, Green Bay, 26th overall, Jordan Love. Jalen Hurts sneaks in here in the 2nd round, 53rd overall. And then you have nobody else until pick 122 in the 4th round. It goes Jacob Eason. It goes James Morgan, Jake Fromm, Jake Luton, or I don't even remember. You're into the 7th round now. Cole McDonald, Ben DiNucci, Tommy Stevens, Nate Stanley. Just a bunch of, after that, it wasn't a very good draft. And I don't even know, I still don't know what the career path of a Herbert or a Tagovailoa is.
We don't. But that brings up a point. It's like when I'm talking about success rates, right? I'm using a measured quantity because in no way am I saying Tua Tagovailoa is a bad quarterback or that Justin Herbert is a bad quarterback, right? Those guys are picks that are going to be solid members of their team and have proved to be, but they're not obviously winning Super Bowls left and right. Let's go way back into the dark ages. How many Super Bowls did Dan Marino win? Remind me. Potentially one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. How many Super Bowls did Dan Marino win? There you go. Big fat hairy zero. It has so much to do with the team that you've put around those guys, right? But you still can't have, some clunker dude in that position. Well, I guess the point I'm making, you can have the best guy there, but if you cannot fulfill out the rest of your team, you're not going anywhere. You can have a guy that is not the best, but is very good, and as long as you've built the rest of your team out, you might have a chance, right? It's just rare. That's the point. It's rare. These guys may be great, but this concept that we have to win the Super Bowl every year, we just kind of have to get over that. That's just not realistic.
And you would think the Jaguars, perpetual poverty franchise here, they take Trevor Lawrence, number 1 overall, 3 quarterbacks at the top of the 2021 draft. Kicked off with Lawrence, Zach Wilson to the Jets, Trey Lance, who the 49ers, now it's kind of surprising the 49ers didn't take as much damage to their team. And the only reason is that they happened to find Bryce Petty somewhere in here. And he's a serviceable guy. I'm sorry, not Bryce Petty. Brock Purdy. Bryce Petty's the guy I mentioned like 2-3 drafts back.
I thought Bryce Petty was a race car driver.
No, that's Kyle and Richard. Anyways, but I used to love the Richard Petty, the STP car. I don't know.
Never got into race cars.
I'm not much, but here or there, man. Do it once or twice. It's fun to go to. I love the fact that I could just take my own cooler to like a NASCAR kind of thing. And legendary number too, 43. We know that as Steelers fans. So Richard Petty, by the way. But anyways, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, 11th overall. He's the 4th quarterback taken in the draft.
At 11.
At 11, like you're getting if everything works out on paper that the way it's laid out, he's the 4th best guy in theory. That doesn't mean that all the other teams got it right. Mac Jones was 15th overall to the New England Patriots right after that.
Always nice to hear a doughboy being brought up again.
Kyle Trask drafted to back up Tom Brady at the time for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 2nd round, 64th overall. And that's near the end of the 2nd round because the 3rd round, pick 66, just a couple picks after, Kellen Mond goes to the Vikings. Davis Mills at 67 to the Houston Texans. Then you're out of the top 100. Ian Book, Sam Ellinger. That's it. Nobody else. 2021 and we already seen how that's played out. That's 3 years ago. To develop all of these quarterbacks, and several of those guys have already bounced around the league. Their careers are kind of done. A Zach Wilson, a Trey Lance, and I know COVID had it had a big impact on some of this too, but not so much when you go back to Winston and Mariota. Even you can't use that as the excuse. So 2022, I think this might be the last one I go through really because this is Kenny Pickett's draft, right? And we remember talking about all of these different players that were coming out. And you didn't even think that Pickett would make it to pick 20. So I was right. It wasn't 21. Well, it was pick 20.
Some of us did think he would make it to 20.
Thought maybe the Saints.
Some of us thought nobody should pick him.
Saints had Saints had 2 picks, I think. And, there was that danger, or they ended up trading and getting another pick leading up to the draft. Carolina Panthers needed a quarterback. I think there was even talk about the Lions. Was Goff the guy? Because there was quite a bit of bouncing around and flip-flopping. But Kenny Pickett ends up there. But remember how highly touted, how in love we were with the Desmond Ridder story coming out of Cincinnati, getting into the college football playoff. Tomlin was in love with Desmond Ridder.
Who was in love with that story?
Apparently everybody. All the draftniks that are out there. Twitter.
The draftniks.
The draft Twitter, they build these guys. They build the guys up. All these guys are 1st round picks. You're gonna have 100 1st round picks before all the mock drafts are done. But
I wish I could. I just don't have the patience to go research how successful draft Twitter is at what they do. But I bet you it's worse than the wide receiver rate.
it is because everybody's doing it for clicks. They're doing it for engagement.
You know who I have faith in?
Wow.
I'm going to give him a call out because I haven't talked about him in a while.
Yeah.
I have faith in our one Mr. Zach, professor of football.
Meckler, not Flash.
Zach Meckler.
I have faith in Flash.
I have faith in Flash. He gets too enamored of wide receivers and offensive guys. Yeah. Anyway, but that's beside the point. Zach Meckler, the professor of football. I have faith in his ability. I think he's a very good guy, but he's busy. He's actually working in the field. So
yeah, that's true. He gets to see a lot of it. He's had a good mind. You're right. I tend to agree. And it's not because we just agree. It's just, sometimes he has an insight. He's still floating around back there, but you don't have him on camera as much anymore. I think he can it's conflict of interest to talk about some things. So, but still a good friend of the show. Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder goes 74th. That's 3rd round. Malik Willis, 1st round grade. Remember we were talking about, we might be resigned to.
1st round grade. Might be him. Yeah.
That is where I'm at right now with Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. I'm getting that Malik Willis vibe that this is National Liars Month and everyone's going to talk up his athleticism. They're going to talk up all these other things, and he might be a 3rd or 4th round pick by the time he gets his name called. So just get those same vibes. Matt Corral, Bailey Zappi, Sam Howell, Chris Oladokun, Skylar Thompson, Brock Purdy.
Sam Howell.
Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy better than everybody here, maybe. I don't know. I think we're going to find out what kind of contract Brock Purdy and the 49ers agree to, because I think if he goes anywhere else, you'd probably never hear of him. He seized his opportunity. He played well above. He was Mr. Irrelevant, so well above his draft pedigree. You get him wrong sometimes, but it's Purdy and Brady, and that's it out of like the last however many years of drafts.
It's just, look,
at the lower end of the draft, I should say. It's a rare exception. It's a diamond in the rough type of thing,
the idea that you can find these guys in the second, third, and fourth rounds, that's BS. It's crap. Is it a possibility? Sure, but it's like walking down to the beach and finding a chest of doubloons, right? Yes, it could happen, but it's probably not gonna, right? It's like me walking out the door and Halle Berry's there and saying, you know what, I divorced my husband and I'm in love with you. It's not gonna happen, is it?
And you're also like,
that one's not actually possible, but let's,
I'm not gonna go any further with that. I was about to talk about widowers and stuff, but and just looking at 2023, the instant success with the books not written on any of these young men yet, but we're starting to get there. We're starting to have questions about Bryce Young. CJ Stroud had an off year. He was on fire as a rookie. Not so much. And Houston added all kinds of bodies around him last year. Anthony Richardson, those are your three. Pick 1, pick 2, pick 4. Richardson's about to compete with Drew Lock for a starting job. They've already announced it's going to be a competition. Will Levis, 33rd overall, second round to Tennessee.
You know what? I have to do it. Oh, hey.
Hendon Hooker, who was hurt, 68th overall pick to Detroit. They kind of threw that out there just to see maybe he ends up with something. You know what I mean? Who knows? Jay Kaner, 4th round, and then down. Stetson Bennett, Aiden O'Connell, Clayton Tune. Some of these guys got to play some games. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Sean Clifford, Jaron Hall, Tanner McKee, Max Dugan. Some of these players got to take some snaps, and we saw that it wasn't pretty for a lot of the late round players. And last year's draft, obviously, headlined by Caleb Williams and 6 quarterbacks going in the first round. Jaden Daniels. Where'd the list go? I just lost it. Hold on a second. Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix. Then you don't have a quarterback taken again after Bo Nix at 12. Trivia question, Brian. When is the next quarterback taken? You can pick a round or you can pick a number. Is it top 50, top 100?
I'm definitely not picking a number. 3rd round.
No.
4th.
Getting warmer. 5th round. Spencer Rattler, 150. And he got to play some. Jordan Travis, Joe Milton, Devin Leary, Michael Pratt. That's it. That's all she wrote. So
I can't count high enough to be naming picks in the 5th round. So
not even with fingers and toes. Not even like
I only got 20. I can't. That's
well,
it.
That's good that you got all 20. You didn't lose one in some freak lawnmower or whatever accident. So
shop class. I did take shop class, but I didn't cut off any of my fingers.
So I guess the question is, should the Steelers gamble on their next quarterback in the NFL draft? In order to be competitive, my belief is yes, because you get the cheaper quarterback contract. And if you hit, you're going, right? Joe Burrow, they get into the Super Bowl and everything because all these guys were on cheaper contracts. Now it's getting expensive and now it's getting tough. And everybody ends up paying these quarterbacks. I mean, you look at Mahomes on his rookie deal. They had a good talent around him, but still 10th overall and 2nd or 3rd quarterback taken in that draft. And you might have to take that shot. I'm not a fan of giving up 3 first-round picks to maybe move up and be behind wherever the Browns are to take Shedeur Sanders. Or let's talk about... Yeah, or, we're assuming Cam Ward is going to be going to the Tennessee Titans. So the name that's fallen everywhere, it's into conversations, Jackson Dart. And we see some of his play in college, and he's probably not the most polished, and he might be available. He'd be available at 21, probably, maybe. Maybe somebody shoots their shot and moves up. Maybe it's even the Steelers. They give up one of these comp picks they're planning on next year, move up. They can't wait. They don't have a 2nd-round pick. Maybe you get him in the 3rd round. Maybe you don't. It's still going to be a top 100 pick. It doesn't mean he's going to be successful. It doesn't mean he's going to be the guy. But I think in order, you have to shoot your shot and give somebody a chance. And if it doesn't, do what the Cardinals did. Do what Tennessee's doing. Levis didn't work out. They're going to take Ward. Fields didn't work out. Bears took Williams. Cardinals take Murray over Rosen. It's a lottery. It's a lottery ticket. I'm not going to say it is going to work, but you have to take a risk. Just don't take too much of a risk.
So, and that's your last statement is where I'm at with this. I 100% would not draft a quarterback in this draft until after the third round. Third round and beyond. There's no way I'd invest a first round pick in any quarterback in this round that's going to fall to the range where we're at. Just wouldn't do it. And the reason is risk. I believe the risk is far too high. I believe you are throwing the pick away. Doesn't mean I'm right. What it means is the statistics say you're not going to be successful with that guy. And they have too many holes. They have too many holes, and there are too many of those positions where they do have need that are potentially successful where they pick. I just wouldn't do it.
So, on that note, and before we sign off, you take a look at the Steelers' draft history over the last few years, and you take a look at what positions and who they have taken in those drafts. And I say to myself, would you be better throwing it away at a quarterback when you got a hit for the future? Or should you aim somewhere else? We don't even know about Troy Fautanu yet. A whole lost season with him. We don't know about Broderick Jones yet.
We don't.
He's got to move over to left tackle. They moved up for him. They could both. We don't know. They're unknowns. Kenny Pickett's not on the team anymore. That didn't work out. They took the gamble. Najee Harris, pretty solid player, but no longer with the team. No first-round pick in 2020. Their top pick was Chase Claypool, 49th overall, because they used that pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick. And you got Devin Bush. Got to get the two Devins, right? And I mean, the Browns were in such a situation last year with their salary cap, with Watson tying up all their money and some of the other dumb things they've done, like Myles Garrett money and everything, that they had to play Devin Bush last year as a starting linebacker. And now you've got teams, Raiders are signing Devin White because he's fallen off a cliff too. Neither of those guys ended up panning out when they needed you need an inside linebacker, and neither of those guys had very long star-studded careers. Terrell Edmonds, pick 28 in the 2018 draft, didn't work out either. Now TJ Watt, that one was kind of nice. Artie Burns before that in 2016. Bud Dupree, not a terrible pick. Ryan Shazier, good pick. Jarvis Jones, not so much good pick. David DeCastro, Steelers legend. Cam Hayward, Steelers legend. Maybe a potential future Hall of Famer. Marquise Pouncey in that same category. And then you got Ziggy Hood, Rashard Mendenhall, Lawrence Timmons, and Santonio Holmes. Before you get to Heath Miller, Ben Roethlisberger, Troy Polamalu. Before them, Kendall Simmons, and then Casey Hampton, Plaxico Burress.
Big snack. Big snack.
So you got some really good ones in there, and then you've got some not so good ones in there.
I mean, just look at the list. You know, the Steel, they have more misses than they have hits. But I'm just telling you, you can go through every single team, and if you look at their first-round pick history, they're going to have more misses than they have hits. Why? Because generally speaking, it's hard to draft players in the NFL, right? You don't know how well they're going to do. Yes, you've got a better chance at having success drafting the best interior offensive linemen who are on the board, or offensive tackles who are on the board, or tight ends who are on the board at the time. You have better success rates there, right? But those numbers at wide receiver and cornerback, those tell you, and quarterback too, those tell you that even when you're picking at the very top, you got a 50-50 chance or less of hitting it with that guy, even when everybody in the room, everybody in the NFL thinks that's the guy, right? That to me, this is not the year. This is not the year. The draft class is not as strong at the quarterback position. And it doesn't mean one of these guys won't come back and make us all eat our words, you know, but I am willing to bet a lot that it ain't going to be one of the guys that's available at 21.
And you saw, I mean, I don't want to just, dump on Justin Fields, but we saw what he did last year, and that was a former first-round pick, what did I say, 12th overall? And the Steelers only used the 6th to get a look-see on that. More than likely, anybody else that comes along, a middle round. If you don't like Mason Rudolph right now, he's the top option, maybe, but everybody else is right there with them. That's probably what you're looking at as your ceiling, especially if it's going to be a rookie that ends up or play, or a first year player. I don't even need to say that they play like right away. You know what I mean? So that's what you're looking at. I know a lot of people feel the class, it's like, hey, you know what? Next year's class is going to be so much better. But then how many other teams are going to be competing auction style, tripping over themselves because it's such a great class? You know what I mean? And do you know? No, nobody knows. Imprecise science.
Nobody knows.
So you got to try and guess what those numbers are going to be and hope you hit the lotto. Brian, thank you once again, my friend. Soon enough, draft right around the corner here in the coming weeks. Draft Insanity right around the corner. Get prepped, get ready, folks. Get geeked up. Our 2%ers, I know, are already geeked up for it. Other people, they have no idea what's coming. They have no idea, Brian.
I don't have any idea what's coming. I've done 3 of them already, and I looked at them and went, "Holy crap!" So yeah. I don't know what craziness I'm gonna stir up in this.
That's always fun, folks. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a rating, review wherever you may be. It helps us out, help us grow our numbers. Share the show too. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Next day video available on Spotify for anyone else who likes the video version of our show, and the rest of our audio listeners. Thanks for tuning in as well. My name's Joe Kuzma.
Wait. I have a question now. I have to come back. There's video on Spotify?
Yeah, video on Spotify. So
wow.
Yeah.
I could go on Spotify and look at my face.
You can. Make sure you get the right feed.
I don't want to do that, but I could. Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, video and audio feed on Spotify. So if you see one and you don't see video, or you see a lot of videos and you see audio, Spotify is a little slow coming around and processing it. So it's a next day kind of thing. So we appreciate you, supporting us wherever you may be, of course. So, but be on the lookout for it. Good question, Brian. I don't always bring that up at the tail end of the show. So, folks, I already said my name is Joe Kuzma. His name is Brian E. Roach. So until next time, some draft madness as we round the corner to Green Bay.
There will be no statistics involved.
No,
forget it. That's it. I've blown my preparation budget for the year. I'm out. Now I'm going to be unprepared again.
Yep, and we'll be looking at all kind of different positions. The Draft Insanity show is usually pretty wild, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, we encourage everyone out there to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.